guys, how's it going? Today is a super exciting day because we are tackling a project that I've been talking about and have been wanting to do for at least the last 3 to 4 years. But before we start in on the project, we've got to move all of these blueberry tubs out of the way. Hey!
Got the whole plan.
Got the whole bunch. Awesome. I gotta cut the drip. Good job. Now do this last one. You got it. Good job. All right, out with the old, now in with the new. Look at these beautiful cedar raised beds. Aaron, I can't even believe they're sitting here.
Excited?
They're so pretty. Oh my goodness. Aaron's working on getting some drip run down through the base before we fill these up. But you guys, we had 8 of these raised beds built. They are 8 feet long by 2 feet on the inside. So it's an 8x2 planting area and they stand about 36 inches tall. And all 8 of these raised beds are for strawberries. And I have talked about it so many times throughout the years how I would love to have a great big area for strawberries and have them all in raised beds high enough to where I don't have to bend over to tend to them or to harvest from them. And then some years ago, I think it was maybe 3 years ago at this point, we were accidentally sent some strawberries, some flats of strawberries. We didn't have anything like this built or prepared for them. So I decided to go ahead and plant them in our cut flower garden and they were great. They were fantastic. It gave me a chance to try out 5 different new varieties. Well, one of the varieties I had planted before, the quinalts, but it gave me a chance to try out Seascape and 2 different varieties of June-bearing strawberries, which I landed on one of those June-bearings that are going to be going in 3 of these boxes. But I always have just dreamed of having strawberries up higher to where it was pleasant to work with them and to harvest from them because it is one of our family's favorite crops. So it's worth it to me. And these are pretty simple in design. Right here, these are, boy, I don't know how wide these are. Aaron, do you know? Are they 6x2s? They are pretty thick.
I think they're 8x2.
Are they?
I thought you were meaning the opening.
The slats.
Yeah, they're probably
about 6x2.
Yeah.
So yeah, 6x2 cedar joined at the corners here. There's some L brackets inside to keep them all together, as well as there's some adhesive in between each board and then some runner boards, brace boards. And then on the outside, there's also brace boards. They're not like overly fancy.
No.
But they're perfect.
For the drip, we're just running it through, this is just a 1/2 inch, and we're just running it through the bottom here. Like real simple, and then we've got kind of like a feeder line.
Oh yeah. This is what the blueberries were hooked into. So the line's already there. We'll cap the 1/4 inch that was running to the blueberry beds, and we'll attach this 1/2 inch to the existing one. So that's
this will come up in the corner of each of these beds, and then we'll just, probably do drip tape.
Probably. We could do an elbow here and do a header line and then probably just 2 rows of drip tape. Yeah, I think that would work out the best.
Easy.
Yeah. And we have several projects that I'm excited about doing this year, but this was definitely top of the list. So excited. I've got strawberries in the high tunnel. In fact, I showed them to you when we were there the other day. I got seascapes that are intended to go in 5 of these raised beds, and then I've got 3 beds for a June bearing called Honey Eye, which they were phenomenal. Now, I don't know if the plants are going to grow the same as they did planted straight in our soil, like our native soil, because we are going to be filling these up first with wood chips and some garden soil, kind of a mix. And I'm going to be, after every scoop that we put in, I'm going to water it down so everything settles. And then about the top 18 inches or so, I'll put the good stuff. We'll put the raised bed mix in here. But we have a bunch of wood chips and soil and stuff that's free out in the dirt lands that we're just going to scoop up with the tractor, and that's what is going to make up the bulk. I think that's probably one of the biggest questions when you put in a raised bed this tall, this big. I had thought about maybe having a hidden floating shelf installed in here to where it was just kind of like air in the bottom, which you absolutely could. If you wanted to get a little bit more intricate with the design, you could have storage on the bottom. maybe. Think about drainage of the plants though. You'd have to line the planter and have the drainage go out aside. Anyway, there's probably lots of different ways you could do it, but we figured, well, we've got a pile of free stuff sitting out there in the dirt lands. Let's get these filled up most of the way, and then we'll go the rest of the way with our raised bed mix, which is what we put in our raspberry and blackberry beds, and those berries do great in that. So our first layer of beds is in. Once those are filled, we're gonna put in 3 more beds, probably with about a 3-foot walking area. I can't remember what we had it all kind of measured out. Do you remember how big the walking space was in here? Maybe it was,
I think it was 2.5
2.5.
But you know, we'll just have to kind of
play with it. Yeah. So our plan is to do, 3 more and then have another walking path and then do 2. And we decided not to do a 3rd because it's going to kind of cut into our curve right there. But we'll just have to see how it goes. Oh, we'll have to do like a trench a line and then pop up into the next run. Yeah. We've had these beds sitting here for what, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks at this point. And we just haven't had a chance to get out here and get it done because our weather has been so erratic and so much rain. So I'm super excited to be out here doing this today. So we're just going to continue on. We'll capture the process as best as we can. I don't know, this is going to be probably a multi-day project. Yeah, I don't think we'll get it all done today, but good start so far. Here comes the first load of chips and soil for the first bed. I just wanted to give you a close-up look at what the consistency of this stuff looks like. So it's a mixture of soil and wood chips that were dropped by Natural Tree Service. It's smoking. It's hot. Yeah. Oh my goodness, it is hot and smoking. So they dropped by several loads of chips from jobs, and I like this because they are so quick to break down. Like, they're bulky enough, but they're quick to break down because they are so small that they won't, cause any kind of drainage issues and things like that you can have when you use larger pieces. Holy moly, you guys see that? The steam. One year I put bark nuggets, like bagged bark nuggets, at the bottom of one of those galvanized tubs, and I had the worst time with water just shooting straight through. And I did 12, 18 inches of soil on the top of the bark nuggets, but I would never repeat that again. Precision, look at that. You can tell Paul's done this a time or two. That's it. Boy, that takes up a lot of space.
Yeah. What do you think? Maybe just like 2 of those?
Possibly. So we're just gonna spread this out in here. I'm gonna grab the hose so we can wet it down and really compact it. I think that that's really important when you're using something like this as fill, because you can lose, as it breaks down, you can lose some height in your soil level, which is okay. We can always add Land Sea Compost on the top every season, which I like to do anyway, just to bring that soil level back up a little bit. So like I said, I probably wouldn't ever use bark nuggets at the bottom of a container again, but we did use like whole pieces of firewood at the bottom of our cold frames in the Hartley, which, do you remember, those were like 5 feet deep.
They're really deep.
I mean, I could stand in it and almost,
yeah.
I don't remember.
You don't shut yourself inside.
Yeah, pretty much. And we haven't had a single issue doing that.
No, not at all.
No settling or anything.
Yeah.
Barely any.
I think just 1 more scoop will be about enough.
I think half a scoop.
Oh, you might be right.
Because I want at least 12 to 18 inches of like the good stuff
yeah.
at the top. Yeah, this is looking really good though. You can already see how it's starting to break down. Looking really nice. Okay guys, so we are just gonna carry on, fill these things up. As soon as these are filled, we can add our second layer of raised beds. We'll get those filled, and then we can add our 3rd layer. This is an exciting day. All right, guys, wanted to stop and give you a quick update. We've got the first 3 set. The drip is running up through the bottom and they're all filled up and they look so good. Oh, I'm just so thrilled about this. So now we are getting ready to set the next 3. Don't they look awesome?
They look really good.
Oh, look at this. So we made sure to really pack it in. You probably noticed I got in there and really tamped it down with my feet, and then we watered it. And we did 3 layers. We did 1 layer of the chips, we did 1 layer of just soil, and then 1 layer of the raised bed mix on top. Oh, here comes the next one. All right, guys, so we just decided that we're gonna bring in the next layer so we can determine how wide these really need to be just based on feel. Because you can measure something out and you can write it out on paper. It's not the same as when you actually get into the project. So I think that that'll be the way to go.
This is plenty of room though.
That's, yeah, more than enough room. We don't need to have access for carts or gators or anything like that. This is like merely a walking path. We did leave 12 inches from the fence to the bed, and this, I can still get in here if I need to, but we don't need to, and that's the whole point of only having a 2-foot planting space, because I can easily reach to the other side with no problem. But I wanted to leave enough space to where, you know, we've got a climbing rose, a couple of them, and a clematis, and I still want those to be able to have space to move. And I don't know if I already said this, but it may have. There's 30 inches between the beds right here. So maybe we go 30 inches all the way.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. We'll see how this pans out.
That one just needs to go. The one you've got, Lawrence. Yeah, pushed. A little more.
Right here?
Yeah, just hip check it. Oh, that was just like a hair too much.
Okay, we got both of the beds set here and decided to go 26.5 inches between the beds, which is a very comfortable distance to walk through here, both for Aaron and I. But to fill these next ones, it's getting a little bit tighter over here to get the tractor with the big bucket to these beds. Like when you only have 1 single layer, you can get the tractor in and easily dump into those, but it's getting a little bit too tight. So I think what we're gonna do is lay a piece of plywood over the top of these 2, and then Aaron and I are gonna stand on either side with boards on either side of the bucket. Sell me on this idea again?
Oh, it'll work. It'll
okay.
work. Just, yeah, come along.
Anyway, I'm not sure exactly how it's gonna work, but we are going to give it a shot here. So we're gonna go gather up some boards. So we couldn't just do it lengthwise?
Oh.
Aren't we just gonna do it lengthwise
I think
and
we'll
then?
need to cut the board a little bit like this way, right?
Yeah, because this is going to be 48 inches right here.
Yeah, so we'll just need to cut it to like 28 or 29, 30 inches or something like that.
Okay. How you doing?
Good.
Is that a brisk walk or a run?
It's like a jog.
Oh. Are you sweating yet?
No.
No? What happened to you?
Self-unloading.
Yes. Should I show this?
Yeah.
Is OSHA gonna show up?
So 26.5. So that's where the edge would be.
Mm-hmm.
So if we give ourselves 2 inches on each side, that would be...
Is that enough?
I think so.
Is that ours or yours?
It's yours.
Oh, I didn't know we had one of those. That's so handy.
Oh, did I not get all the way through it?
Pretty close. There we go. All right, now I'm totally having to trust the vision. Well, that worked really well. So there's a piece of plywood on this side where the walkway is, and then there's one between, and then I just held this one up, which barely any of it hit my board. And so it just kind of came out, well, into the boxes a little bit and then into a pile right here, and Aaron was able just to scoop it in.
So much easier doing that than having to like scoop out of the bucket
Oh,
and do
yeah.
one at a time.
Uh-huh.
Way better.
For suckers. This is going to be the most epic strawberry patch ever. I am so excited about it. All right, guys, it is a new day. It was getting kind of late yesterday, so we decided to save the rest of the project for today. So Paul and Aaron got out here this morning and they finished placing and filling the remaining 3 beds. And they look so good, you guys. I just absolutely love it. I mean, look at how awesome this is. What a fun use of this space, which was just kind of open and empty. I mean, we had some blueberry beds here, but strawberries are so much more productive and easy to care for in our area because of our high soil pH, that I just think we're going to utilize this space so much more and better. And like I mentioned before, it's one of our favorite crops. They just do really well for us. So I am just absolutely thrilled. Now, once they were all filled, Paul and Aaron took after trenching the water supply lines along the ground and getting all the beds connected into that, while I was running drip to the top of the beds. And I was gonna stop and kind of explain how we do that. I just recently explained it in our spring crops in our raised beds video because I had to swap over to drip tape in one of those. So maybe we can link that one down below. But the crew is working on our pathways in the formal flower garden right now. And they had the compactor going the entire time we were working on this. And we just had to use the time and get it done. So anyway, let me show you. So the supply line comes up through the bottom, which you can't see anymore. It's tacked to a supply line or connected to a supply line. It comes up through the bottom of the bed, right up to here. And then we put a 1/2-inch elbow connector and connected it to more of the solid black poly, and then ended it right here with a figure 8 ender. So you just bend your tubing and it just slides into that ender really nicely. And then I used a little punch tool to punch a hole in our supply line, and then I put our drip tape connector. I like these. You don't have to get them like this, but I do like that they have a valve. So you can turn them on or off. Like now that drip tape is off while this one is on. It just comes in handy, maybe not in this case necessarily, but in cases where you've got like multiple different crops growing in beds. If you harvest one crop and don't want to water there, but you still want to water here, you can do that with these little valves. And then the drip tape connects right in here. And then we have the emitters facing up and you can see some water on them. We did test all of this and it's all running beautifully. And then it runs to the end where there is an ender right here. And I like these enders because you can unscrew this. If you feel like maybe, well, you got some sediment in there or some soil, you can take this off and you can blow out the whole run of drip tape and blow anything that might have accumulated. and you just put the ender back on and you're good to go. And you guys, we order all the drip tape and the couplers for the drip tape from dripdepot.com, I believe. Now you might notice I did tack this first bed down with landscape staples, but I decided not to do the rest until I was done. I'm going to add 2 bags of Land Sea soil conditioner into each one of these beds on the top and some biotone starter fertilizer before we put our strawberries in. So that's my last step of prep before we get to work with these right here. Oh, I'm so excited. So, okay, here's our seascapes right here. These are the everbearing type that are fantastic. It says high yields of very sweet, firm, bright red berries grown on vigorous, virus-resistant plants. White flowers are followed by the berries, which are excellent for fresh eating, freezing, or making jams and jellies, which I can absolutely attest to. And of all the everbearing varieties that I have ever grown, these have the most consistent sized berries. They're large, they're sweet, and they produce all season long. They do not lull out like some of the other ones do. And while like Quinault is a variety that I have grown just for years and years, it's an old standby variety, while they have good flavor, the berry size is very inconsistent. You get really weird shaped ones and they're not as productive. I just am so thrilled with the seascape. And then our June bearing are the honey eye. These are awesome. I think these are both zone 4. Yeah. Both are hardy to zone 4. This one is abundant, bright red, juicy fruit with delightful flavor. White flowers with yellow centers precede the fruit. Long fruiting season, which for a June bearing, I had Honey Eye and All Star for my 2 June bearing out in the cut flower garden before, and I liked the Honey Eye better. I felt like it was more productive for longer, and I felt like the berries were more consistently sized, and that is important to me. So 3 of these beds I'm dedicating to June bearing, which, you know, they're not going to bear as long as the seascapes, but when you plant a June bearing type of any type of berry, raspberry, blackberry, strawberry, you're kind of guaranteed one huge harvest in relatively the same time period, as opposed to everbearing type of berries. Oftentimes you get berries throughout the whole season, but maybe not in quite as heavy a load. So if you like to do preserving and you need, you know, a certain amount, you need a lot of strawberries all at one time, a June bearing is a good idea. But I think what I'm going to do is the back 2 and then 1 of the middle ones will be Honey Eye, and then these front 3 and then 2 of the middle ones will be our everbearing. I keep thinking I see a bloom and I'm like, oh no, it's just the tag. Dang, wishful thinking. I've got our biotone fertilizer right here. So I'm going to finish amending all this soil and then we'll get our berries planted. All right, guys, I did get all the soil amended and I planted 3 of the beds. I got 3 deep before I realized I never stopped and talked about how to plant these things. I'm just so excited. Look at the first 3, they are gorgeous. So all 3 of these have the seascapes. And what I do is I come in, these want to be spaced about every 12 to 18 inches and I'm spacing them out 12. So I come along, I find an emitter and I plant the plant right by the emitter so I know it's going to get water right to its roots. And then I go along and find another emitter a foot away. And this drip tape has emitters every 6 inches. So I just go every other emitter. And even though I don't have a plant right here by this emitter, I really like to have the 6-inch spacing because I feel like it's just better coverage and you don't have to water quite as long, especially once the plants are established. And also you might notice that I did not tack down any more of the drip tape with Land landscape staples because I just decided to put the compost and all that right on top of them, and that will keep them kind of pinned down. So on this one right here, you can kind of see what I'm doing. So the thing about strawberries here is that you don't want to bury them below the crown. And the crown of the plant looks like this right here. It's kind of where everything connects. So you really just want to plant, like especially this one, right about soil level, and be careful not to cover any of the crown. Otherwise you may not have it bloom, you may not get any strawberries. So I come in here, I can see the emitter right here. I make my little hole. If it looks root bound, you can rough up the roots, but these, it's not necessary. They're not super root bound. I'm gonna pop it in there, and then I kind of pop the drip tape up on top of the root ball like that. And then we're gonna pack soil around the root ball, again, being careful not to cover that crown. That is perfect. And I know it's gonna get water right from here straight to the roots. Super efficient. Okay, let's do this next one. So I dig around in here, I find that emitter. Gosh, fresh soil is nice to plant in. Root system looks good. I'm just gonna nestle that in and just snug all that soil around that root ball. Making sure, again, that the crown of the plant is exposed. So that is perfect. So now we've got the 3 with seascapes, this one with seascapes. I'll put more in this bed, and then the remaining 4 will be the remaining 3 will be the honey eyes. So again, we did not put a 3rd one in this whole configuration because I didn't want it to neck down the corner. And I felt like it just kept it nice and open right here, which I really like. And one could put another raised bed like going this direction, but we thought it might be nice because there will be a hose link right here to be able to pull our hose straight down the aisles should we need to. Which I'm going to be using a hose to water these in initially today, but after that we've got the drip set up, so we shouldn't need to pull a hose out. But if we need to, it's always nice to have it very easy to do. Okay, I'm gonna get the rest of these planted and watered. All right, guys, we got them all planted. They look absolutely beautiful, and I love everything about it. I wish we would have done this sooner. Look at this. This is going to be a very well-traveled corner now of our property. Oh, can you even imagine too, like when we've got fresh nectarines and fresh plums and fresh peaches on the trees and strawberries on our strawberry plants, we can just stay out here. We don't even have to go inside. We can just eat out here, snack throughout the day. I love it so much. We were talking last night because it is a new day. I got done when it started to rain and the wind started to blow and it was freezing cold. So I just decided, you know what? I'm going to water these in and go inside. So we were discussing last night whether or not we should put another, because we could, I mean, it would absolutely fit to put a 9th box in. But for me, just visually, since we've got a curve right here, I don't know, having one come out might just visually neck it down, even though we'll probably, I mean, I don't know, with the space being open right here, we'll probably use that space. And the boxes that you see over here, so 2 of them we're not using anymore. These 2 right here, they're gonna go away. And this one was replaced by a concrete and metal box that can be driven over. So we're going to kind of, smooth this out, get rid of those and put new gravel in. So I'm guessing that even though technically the lane is here, we'll probably, use that corner a little bit whiter. And you know, these being as big as they are and made out of cedar, which is one of the best woods that you can use, or best types of wood you can use, along with redwood for longevity, I kind of look at this as an investment in our future, or future-proofing our garden, making something that I love, like strawberries, be even better, and making it easier on my body, making it easier for everybody who might be wanting to come out here and pick. It's just going to be such a pleasant experience. I mean, it was pleasant just standing here planting. I just thought, this is the way to go. And I anticipate, with the way they were constructed and how thick the wood is, I think we'll have these for a very, very long time. And Aaron is always about, like, his thing is making things efficient in terms of, you know, conduit running everywhere, making sure pathways are wide enough, making sure things are as efficient and as practical as possible so that it's easy on us. Wherever we can make it easy, we try to. And so this is kind of my effort in making something that I love even better. But here's a look from this angle, like kind of through the orchard. You can see the beds. I wasn't sure at first if I was going to love having some bulk over here. I thought maybe it would detract from the fence, but I absolutely love it. I think it just adds to the charm. And I think the plants are happy. It did get down to 33 last night. Plants don't seem to have minded that one bit. And I've got a few plants left over, which is perfect. I have exactly 30 plants left over, which is how many pockets I have in that lilac colored green stalk vertical garden. So I think that's where those are going to all go. And it'll be a mashup of, I think I've got 1 flat of honey eye, 1 flat of seascape, and then 6 extra seascapes. The only other thing I wanted to mention, as far as strawberries go, for us, the only thing that we have to watch out for, the birds don't get to our strawberries typically. I don't know, maybe they'll find them more attractive since they're up off the ground. But we do have to watch them for iron deficiency, which you'll see that show up in leaves, usually if you have higher pH soil. So what you'll notice is the leaves will start to yellow, but the dark green veins will still be apparent. You'll be able to still see those. And then the edges of the leaves will start to burn. And that just means that usually for us, like the high pH, the high alkalinity in the soil binds up the iron that's in the soil, but it puts it in a state that the plants can't take it up. So we have to treat with chelated iron on occasion when that happens. And I just try to get it around the base of the plant. Don't treat the plant like as a foliar application if there's fruit on it, because it will ruin the fruit. But I'm also going to be, like, the Land Sea Compost will help with the soil acidity. So that was my application for now. I'll also be adding soil acidifier in there from time to time, along with our berry tone and all of that. So we'll try to keep the soil in a state that keeps these berries happier, which I think will be easier in raised beds than it is in our native soil. But we'll just have to see how it goes. This is going to be a really fun one to update you guys on throughout the season. That is it for this project today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.